Welcome to 1,000 Nights and 1 Night. Now, when it was the 650th night, she said, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when the Badawai gave the barley scone to Nuzhat al-Zaman, and promised that he would sell her to a good man like himself, she replied, Whatso thou dost is right. And at about midnight, when hunger burned her, she ate a very little of that barley bread. And the Badawai ordered his party to set out, so they loaded their loads, and he mounted a camel, sending Nuzhat al-Zaman behind him. Then they journeyed, and ceased not journeying for 3 days, till they entered the city of Damascus, and alighted the Sultan Khan, hard by the Viceroy's gate. Now she had lost her color by grief and the fatigue of such travelling, and she ceased not to weep over her misfortunes. So the Badawai came up to her and said, O thou city filth, by the right of my bonnet, if thou leave not this weeping, I will sell thee to none but a Jew. Then he arose, and he took her by the hand, and carried her to a chamber, and walked off to the bazaar. And he went round to the merchant, who dealt in slave girls, and began to parley with them, saying, I have brought a slave girl whose brother fell ill, and I sent him to my people about Jerusalem, that they might tend him till he is cured. But as for her, I want to sell her. But after that dog of her brother fell ill, the separation between them is grievous to her. And since then she doth nothing but weep. And now I wish that whoso is minded to buy her of me speak softly to her, and say, Thy brother is with me in Jerusalem ill, and I will be easy with him about her price. Then one of the merchants came up to her and asked, How old is she? He answered, She is a virgin, just come to marriageable age, and she is endowed with sense, and breeding, and wit, and beauty, and loveliness. But from the day I sent her brother to Jerusalem, her heart hath been yearning for him, so that her beauty is fallen away, and her value lessened. Now, when the merchant heard this, he set forth with Badawai, and said, O Sheikh of the Arabs, I will go with thee and buy of thee this girl whom thou praisest so highly for wit and manners and beauty and loveliness, and I will pay thee her price, but it must be upon conditions, which if thou accept, I will give thee ready money, and if thou accept not, I will return her to thee. Quoth the Badawai, And thou wilt take her up to the Sultan Sharrkan, son of Omar bin al-Nu-uman, lord of Baghdad, and of the land of Khosran, and condition me any conditions thou likest. For when thou hast brought her before King Sharrkan, haply she will please him, and he will pay thee her price, and a good profit for thyself to boot. Rejoined the merchant, It happens that I have just now something to ask from him, and it is this, that he write me an order upon the office, exempting me from custom dues, and also that he write me a letter of recommendation to this father, King Omar bin al-Nu-uman. So if you take the girl, I will weigh thee out her price at once. I agree with thee to this condition, answered the Badawai. So they returned together to the place where Nuzhat al-Zaman was, and the wild Arab stood at the chamber door and called out, saying, O Naja, which is the name wherewith he had named her. When she heard him, she wept and made no answer. Then he turned to the merchant and said to him, There she sitteth. Go to her, and look at her, and speak to her kindly, as I enjoined thee. So the trader went up to her in courteous wise, and saw that she was wondrous beautiful and lovable, especially as she knew the Arabic tongue. And he said to the Badawai, If she be even as thou sayest, I shall get of the Sultan what I will for her. Then he bespake her, Peace be on thee, my little maid. How art thou? She turned to him and replied, This also was registered in the book of destiny. Then she looked at him, and seeing him to be a man of respectable semblance, with a handsome face, she said to herself, I believe this one cometh to buy me. And she continued, If I hold aloof from him, I shall abide with my tyrant, and he will do me to death and beating. In any case, this person is handsome of face, and maketh me hope for better treatment from him than from my brute of a Badawai. Maybe he cometh only to hear me talk. So I will give him a fair answer. All this while her eyes were fixed on the ground, and she raised them to him and said in a sweet voice, And upon thee be peace, O my lord, and all his mercy, and his benediction. This is what is commanded of the prophet whom Allah bless and preserve. As for thy inquire how I am, if thou wouldst know my case, it is such as thou wouldst not wish but for thy foe. And she held her peace. When the merchant heard what she said, his fancy took wings for delight in her, and turning to the Badawai, he asked him, What is her price? For indeed she is noble. Thereupon the Badawai waxed angry, and answered, Thou wilt turn me the girl's head with this talk? Why dost thou say that she is noble, while she is of the scum of slave girls and of the refuse of folk? I will not sell her to thee. Now when the merchant heard this, he knew the man to be weak of wits, and said to him, Calm thyself, for why will buy her of thee with these blemishes thou mentionest? And how much wilt thou give me for her? Inquired the Badawai. Replied the merchant, Name thy price for her. None should name the son save his sire. Rejoined the Badawai, None shall name it but thou thyself. Quoth the merchant to himself, This wilding is a rudsberry and a maggoty head. By Allah, I cannot tell her price, for she hath won my heart with her fair speech and good looks. And if she can read and write, it will be complete fair luck to her and to her purchaser. But this Badawai does not know her worth. Then he turned and said to her, O Sheikh of the Arabs, I will give thee in ready money, clear of the tax and the Sultan's dues, 200 gold pieces. Now, when the Badawai heard this, he flew into a violent rage and cried at the merchant, saying, Get up and go thy ways. By Allah, wert thou to offer me 200 dinars for the bit of camlet she wear, I would not sell her to thee. And now I will not sell her, but will keep her by me to pasture the camels and grind my grist. And he cried out to her, saying, Come here, thou stinkard, I will not sell thee. And then he turned to the merchant and said to him, I used to think thee a man of judgment, but by the right of my bonnet, if thou be gone not from me, I will let thee hear what shall not please thee. Quoth the merchant to himself, Of a truth, this Badawai is mad, and knoweth not her value, and I will say no more to him about her price at the present time. For by Allah, were he a man of sense, he would not say, By the rights of my bonnet. By the Almighty, she is worth the kingdom and the Khosrows, and I have not her price by me. But if he ask more, I will give him what he will, though it will be all my goods. Then he turned and he said to him, O Sheikh of the Arabs, take patience and calm thyself, and tell me what clothes she hath with thee. Cried the Badawai, And what hath the baggage to do with clothes? By Allah, this camlet in which she is wrapped is ample for her. With thy leave, said the merchant, I will unveil her face and examine her even as folk examine slave girls whom they think of buying. Replied the other, Up and do what thou wilt, and Allah keep thy youth. Examine her outside and inside, and if thou wilt, strip off her clothes, and look at her when she is naked. Quoth the trader, Allah forfend! I will look not save her face. Then he went up to her, and was put to shame by her beauty and loveliness. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of the day, and ceased to say her permitted say. And so do I cease to end this story until it be morrow.